Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a beautiful poem written by Thomas Hood, which is I Remember, as you all can see on the screen. Children, this poem is given in your ICSE English Literature syllabus under the section of poetry for class 9, right? So let's begin with this session. So children, before coming to the poem, we'll see something about the writer as well. So Thomas Hood was an amazing author and was a humorist also of the 19th century. Right? He was a great author and humorist of 19th century. Right? Most of his works were based on humor, right? Sentiments. Also, he has included nature in his works, just as William Wordsworth. You all must be knowing him, William Wordsworth, amazing author. Right? Thomas Hood was born on 23rd May 1799 in London. Then he died on 3rd May 1845. Okay? Two of his best works were The Song of the Shirt and The Bridge of Sighs. So this particular poem, I Remember, was first published in 1844, a year before he died. So he died in 1845 and this work of his was published in 1844. So let's begin with the line by line explanation, and I'm pretty sure that by the end of this session you will understand this poem, you will understand each and every word, and we'll do the literary devices, the themes, everything about this poem, right? So let's begin. We are on the very first stanza. The poet begins with this way, saying, I remember. See children, mark this. The poet says this twice, right? The very first thing. Second thing is, here, the poet is referring himself to I. That means the poet himself is the speaker, okay? Poet himself is the speaker. The poet says, I remember. See children, he is trying to remind himself of something. He says that he remembers the house where I was born. He is saying he remembers the place where he was born. Okay? So with this, we can conclude that right now, when the poet was writing this poem, he is somewhere else, which means that he has moved to some other place and he is no more in his house. Okay? Just see. Okay, coming to the third line, he says, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He also remembers, the very first thing he is remembering, the house where he was born. So, let's add this first point. The first point is that the poet has moved to some other place. Since the poet is telling about his childhood and now he has grown up, so he has moved to some different place. Okay? Second line will be that he is remembering. Remembering what? He is remembering the house, the place he was born. Okay? The third line, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. Children, here, the little window, the word the is being used here for a little window, which means, wait a minute, which means the poet is referring to a particular window of his house. Got that? Where the sun came peeping in at morn. Children, see, what does peeping means? Peeping means when we are watching something secretly, right? Watching something secretly, right? In at morn. Here, morn means morning. Okay? the poet says he remembers that particular little window. That particular little window. Just look at this picture here. That particular window, from where the sun is peeping inside. The sunlight is coming through this window, right? So the poet still remembers that same window from where the sunlight used to come into his house, and he's saying that the sun came peeping. The sun tries to peep secretly into his house. Okay, children. So from here you can see that the poet has used personification. Side by side, we'll be doing the literary devices as well. Okay, it will be easier for you. Personification. Good. See what he is personifying. Children, whenever we are trying to contrast a non-living thing to a living thing, we say that we are personifying it. Okay, so here in these two sentences, the poet says the sun came peeping. See, generally we humans or all the living creatures on this earth, we are in the habit of looking, watching, or peeping onto something, right? So the poet tries to contrast the sun to the humans. Just as we peep into others' house, similarly the sun is also peeping into the poet's house. Okay. So here the poet has used personification. Please keep on adding these points in your answers. This will fetch you grace marks as well. Okay. Okay. Moving further. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. See again, the word he is being used for whom? The word he is being used for sun. And as we all know that the word he is used for humans, right? We generally use it for humans, and here in this poem the poet has used it for the sun, which is a non-living thing, right? So here again the poet tries to personify. He's saying that that means the sun never came a wink too soon. A wink. This is what wink is all about. When we open and close our eyes within a second, that is known as wink. So he is again saying, see, winking is again a part of a human activity, right? Include this word, human activity, right? So peeping, winking, all these are human activities, and poet says that the sun tries to do all these human activities. So this is what personification is. So he's saying that the sun is never too late, nor brought too long a day. Here the poet says that the sun is always on time, and just look at the punctuality of the sun that he is always on time in the morning, and he knows when to set down in the evening. So the poet is referring to the sun, saying, using he. Now brought too long a day. Now he's again saying that the sun is never late and he's always on time. And this is another explanation that somewhere the poet is using the nature of predictability of the universe, that we can predict the time when the sun rises and when the sun sets. So this is about our predictability, and we are so innocent in our childhood that we doesn't know about the science behind the universe, about the nature. We simply just think that sun, and again the poet is personifying the sun as a human. So when we are small, we think that these creatures, the sun, the moon, the stars, they are all just like us, and they do follow the same routine as we do in our daily lives, right? Moving further, he says, but now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. Children, here in the last line, borne my breath away means taken my breath away, which means dying. Okay, simple word, dying. Or you can also write sign of a death. He says that now means here that the poet is talking about his present life. He has grown up, he's an adult man, so he's talking about his present life. He's saying that But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. Again, children, here see the night. He is talking about a particular night. Okay, he's talking about a particular night. He wishes that particular night could have taken his breath away or could have taken his life. He would have died that night. Okay, again he's saying, again he's using personification here. Why? Let's see why. Again he's using personification. See children, why? Taking lives. He is referring again a human activity with the nature or with a non-living thing. Night is something, night cannot take your lives away, right? Humans can take your lives away. So this is how the poet tries to explain that he wanted that night could have taken, or that night should have taken his life, or he should have died that night. Children, here you can see the poet has used metaphor in the last sentence where he's saying born my breath away, right? So please include this as well. One more point here in this in this very third line, children. Third and fourth line is your the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. Children, here the poet tries to give us a visual image of his thought. He wants us to imagine the thoughts he's writing down in his poem, right? So this, you can take the help of this picture in front of you. Just look at this picture and imagine the thoughts of the poet. So here we can also write that he uses, we can write here as well, he uses what? In the third and fourth line, he uses imagery, which means visual image or visual representation of something. Okay, so we're done with the very first stanza. Now let's see. You can observe in the beginning the poet is full of optimistic thoughts, right? And in the phase of nostalgia, right? From here you can see he is remembering about his house, the place where he was born, then about the window, that particular window, then about the sun, how the sun peeps inside his house just as we humans do. In the last two lines you can observe that the poet becomes negative, right? Becomes negative and pessimistic, becomes pessimist, right? Also he has the thought of dying, so thought of death or phase of despair. So coming to the second stanza, this is our second stanza. Okay, this is our second stanza. Again, the poet begins the stanza with reminding himself twice. I remember. Let's see now what he's remembering. He remembers the roses, red and white, the violets and the lily cups. Children, here violets means violet. Violets are the violet colored flowers. Okay, see here in the very first line, in the second line, the poet says that he remembers the roses. See, roses is the first flower, then violets are the second flower, lily is the third flower. Okay, also lilacs will be the fourth flower. So in this second line, the poet remembers the roses, red and white. You can see in this picture, here are the white roses, then the red roses. Okay, he remembers the roses, the violets. See, these are the violets. He remembers those violet flowers, and the lily cups. See, children, these are the lily cups. Okay, make sure you remember the poet mentioned about 3 flowers. Okay, 3 flowers. Now coming on to the fourth line, the poet says, those flowers made of light, and exclamation mark. This exclamation mark has the significance, children. Okay? Why? The poet is thinking while writing this poem, and he says that those flowers made of light. Children, when we are small, when we are in our childhood days, we often find small things very fascinating. Similarly, as we used to find things fascinating, we used to find flowers beautiful. The poet tries to convey the same thought that when he was in his childhood, when he was a small boy, he used to think that these flowers are so bright. And another reason for the light, and another reason why he's saying that these flowers are made of light, the reason is because in the very first stanza he mentioned that the sunlight used to enter his house. So when that sunlight came onto the flowers, those flowers starts shining, and through the eyes of a child, if you try seeing through the eyes of the child, you will find that the child thinks that those flowers are shining and they are bright and they are made of light. Fine, children? Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming on to the fifth line, the poet says, the lilacs where the robin built. Children, here lilacs are another plant, right? Lilacs are another plant. See, these are the lilac plants. Okay, these are the lilac plants. The poet says, the lilacs by the robin built. Robin is a bird. See, robin is a bird. Robin built. What do birds build? What do birds build? They build their nest, their home. So the poet says he also remembers the lilacs, those flowers, those plants where the robin, the bird, used to build its nest. As you can see this picture, children, here all the pictures are given for your visual image. Just try creating the image in your mind and relate it with the poet. And the poet also remembers his brother. He says, and where my brother set the laburnum on his birthday. Laburnum is a tree, children. Okay. So the poet remembers his brother. This is a sense of family love, because he has mentioned about his brother only in the whole poem. Okay. So children, see, in the beginning of the stanza, the poet was again in the phase of nostalgia, and as we are coming to the end, you can see again he is in the mood of despair. So he is again remembering his brother, and he remembers that place, that laburnum tree where his brother, see, just look at this picture and imagine that this boy is the brother of the poet, and it's his birthday, right? It's his birthday, and he is planting what? Laburnum tree. So the poet also remembers the place where his brother planted the laburnum tree. Okay. In the very last line, the poet says, the tree is living yet. Very important point. Very important line. The poet says that he still remembers that the tree is living yet. The tree is still alive, which my brother planted on his birthday. See, children, another explanation, what we can conclude from his last line is, the poet tries to say that the tree is still alive, maybe not his brother. Maybe his brother is not anymore, but the tree is still there. So this can also be another explanation. But while writing in your answers, you can simply mention that the tree is still alive, and this also shows growth. Growth of what? When we are in our childhood. See, plants are in a childhood, and when they grow up into the tree, they become adult. Okay, so this is another explanation. So you please write this one. Okay, the first one is just for your understanding. So with this, we are done with the second stanza as well. Okay, so children, let's quickly find out the literary devices used here. So in the very fourth line, you can see the fourth line is your those flowers made of light. Children, here flowers are compared to light or brightness. Okay, this is how the fourth sentence has metaphor in it. And the last sentence is very important. This holds a whole theme of the poem. The tree is living yet. This sentence has symbolism. Let's see why. See, the trees, they have the tendency to live for more than 100 years. The poet is contrasting what? Contrasting between the eternal nature and the mortality of humans, right?